Hello everyone, this is a Fire-Lite MS-9600UDLS fire alarm control panel. These were first introduced in the late 2000s and were designed for medium-sized facilities. The MS-9600UDLS is an updated version of the original MS-9600, introducing a new enclosure, a revised power supply, a built-in communicator, and the Lightspeed adjustable protocol. A basic MS-9600 UDLS includes one SLC loop for up to 159 detectors and 159 modules, using the Lightspeed protocol. This could be expanded to two SLC loops for a total capacity of 636 devices. The MS-9600 UDLS supports both A&M bus series enunciators and legacy ACS series enunciators, as well as standard features of modern fire alarm control panels, including strobe synchronization and upload-download capabilities. So let's jump right into this. For this demonstration, the MS-9600 UDLS will be running the Lightspeed adjustable protocol. On the table, we have a BG12LX pole station, an AD355 multi-criteria detector, and a Gentex Commander 3 horn strobe. Down here, we have a notifier FDU80 LCD enunciator. Under Fire-Lite, this would be the LCD80F, an FCI MS7A pole station, a Gentex Commander 2 horn strobe, and a Gamewell FCI ASD PL2F smoke detector. This MS7A pole station is a bit of an oddball. These are meant to work on FCI clip panels like the 7200 and 7100, but it also works on Lightspeed panels like the 9600 UDLS without any issues. Like the 9200 UDLS, the 9600 UDLS can support detectors and devices from other brands and does not cause any troubles. These include Gamewell FCI devices, as well as notifier and Silent devices. And finally, over here, we have a BG10L pole station with an adjustable mini module behind it, an ANN80 LCD enunciator, and a Gentex Commander 3 strobe. All signals are set to Gentex sync, with the horns set to 2400 Hz temporal. So here we go. Alarms are silenced, horns and strobes are shut off, and display indicates the device type, the zone, and the address, and if there was a description it would show here as well. Now let's set off this detector. The AD355 is a multi-criteria sensor. It uses photoelectric and thermal detection principles to determine the presence of a fire. On display, it shows up as an ADAPT sensor. Now for these devices. Silenced from the FDU80. These are older enunciators compared to the A&M bus devices, and the buttons tend to respond a lot slower compared to the ANN80. Now for this detector. This detector was programmed as a supervisory point, so the signals do not activate. This detector is auto-resettable, so once it airs out, the supervisory condition will clear. And finally, for this pole station. sounds from the AN80. Lock that, or the panel will give it trouble. The alarm signals are not set to pre-signal. It seems Gentex Sync can have a delay when starting up on alarm. All pull stations are reset and detectors are aired out, so now you can reset the system. Just wait for that to initialize and the system will be normal. The MS-9600UDLS uses a moderately sized cabinet and is standardized across most modern Fire-Lite panels, including the MS-510UD, the 9200UDLS, and the later Endurance series panels. Inside is the main circuit board, the FLPS7 power supply, the same used on the MS-10UD, and all of this is on a removable chassis. The AC input is to the FLPS7, and there's a harness to connect that to the main board. There's a jumper here to disable the local battery charger, and another one behind the keypad to disable ground fault detection. Towards the bottom, connectors for the batteries, the piezo, and a connector here for a PS2 keyboard interface. Right here is a connector for an SLC-2LS expansion module for a second SLC loop. In this slot would be space for a DACT UD2 alarm communicator. It was removed from this panel, but there are some 9600 models that do not include that built in. This connector here is for a 4XTM transmitter module, some jumpers to cover supervision, and this here is a NAC key. This sets the type of signal circuits used on the system. They could be either 2 Class A signal circuits or 4 Class B signal circuits. Most of the wiring terminals are on the top. On the top left is the auxiliary power, 1 resettable and 2 non-resettable. Here are the signal circuits, relay 1, 2, and 3. By default, these are alarm, trouble, and supervisory relays respectively. Right here is the annunciator terminal for either ACS or A&M bus series annunciators, an RS-232 interface for PCs and printers, an RS-485 interface for terminal annunciators like the FDU80 or LCD80F, and finally, on the top right, is the SLC loop. The keypad interface is identical to the original 9600 and the 9200UD and UDLS panels. It features a 2x40 LCD screen, some LED indicators, numeric keypad, some menu keys, arrow keys, and basic operator controls. Now let's explore the menu interface on the 9600 UDLS. Press enter, read status mode, and this allows viewing of the panel's configuration and the basic status of all the points on the system. There's a couple options here. One in particular is the power option. This shows the voltages for several different power components on the main board. Battery voltage, 24 volt resettable, the charger circuit, and the signal circuits. 3 is remote download. This allows downloading of the configuration to the panel from a programming software, and a passcode needs to be entered for that. 2 is programming mode. And like other Fire-Lite addressable panels, there are 2 levels, maintenance level and technician level. So we'll start with the maintenance level. So here's the maintenance level. From here, a maintenance operator can enable or disable points. For instance, if we go to a device, say the pull station, it could be enabled or disabled, and the same goes for other detectors, modules, and outputs, including the signal circuits. You can also view the history, view all the alarms. So you have all the pull stations, and detectors, and so forth. You can also erase the history to clear the message buffer. There's also a program check. This indicates any potential user errors in the configuration. Everything looks pretty good on this panel. It's walk test, can be silent or audible, and then results. System can change the time and date from this level. Zone setup, zones can be enabled or disabled. And that's pretty much it for maintenance level. Now for our technician level. Most of the programming options are here. Default passcodes can be found in the user manual. So 1 is auto program. This allows the panel to scan the SLC loop or loops, and add and remove any devices as needed. Next is point program. Select loop 1. Let's choose a detector. Do edit. Choose address 1. That's the adapt sensor. So you can change the device type, enable, disable, verification, walk test participation, positive alert sequencing, pre-signal, zone assignments, and description. Let's choose a module now. Let's just choose the mini module on the BG10L. So it's set to pull station, and module options are generally a lot smaller and simpler than detectors. Next is zone setup. Can enable, disable zones. There's some special zones: positive alert sequencing, pre-signal, and 2-stage. Zones installed, just zone 0. Zones enabled, which should be all zones. Yep, up to 99. Zones disabled, there are none. Zone types, all the zones are monitored, but there are other options for these zones as well. Zones available, should be everything but 0. Zone message, this is primarily to be used if a voice panel like the ECC 5100 is connected. This allows each zone to play a certain message from the ECC as programmed. Next is loop setup. You have the individual loops can be set to either style 4 or 6. It's also protocol, which is set to light speed here. It can also be set to clip. Unfortunately, unlike, say, a notifier NFS 2640, the two loops can't be set to different protocols. They're always the same on this panel. Next is system setup. Set control reminder. The banner, which in this case is user-defined, is as seen in system normal. The time and date, like in maintenance level. Timers, you have positive alert sequence delay, pre-signal delay, water flow delay, and AC loss delay. Signal circuits, you have 4 here. So it's enabled, silenceable. The type, you have some sync options and non-sync options. Auto silence, the coding, a couple options here. And if sync is enabled, you choose the sync option, and there's some MNS options if a voice panel is connected. You also have your zone assignment and silence inhibit. Next is relays. Relay 2 is always going to be trouble, but 1 and 3 can be changed to different options. There's many different conditions that could be used. These relays are considered general purpose. Next is Canadian option, if this panel is installed in Canada. Water flow silence and MNS override. Got history and walk test, just like in maintenance level, and option modules. So you have the printer PC option, another option for the communicator, and then enunciators. So terminal mode is enabled. It's for the FDU80. There's ACS options. It's not installed, but if they were installed, you can install up to 31 ACS enunciators. Then AN bus options for the AN80. There's an auto configure option. The module installed, just AN80 on address 1. Last couple options, there's password change. If the passwords were changed on your particular panel, there is a backdoor. Clear program. This allows either clearing the entire system, both loops, or just one of the loops devices. And lastly, program check, the same in maintenance level. Once all programming changes are made, the panel will automatically reset. If the protocol was changed, then the panel will do a hard reset. Version 6.2, that's the latest for the 9600 UDLS. Now I wait for that to initialize. And that is it for the Fire-Lite MS-9600 UDLS. These panels were discontinued in the early 2020s, being replaced with the ES1000X. As of recording, these panels were only recently discontinued, and they are still relatively common in the field and online, although they tend to be rather expensive. If you happen to acquire one of these panels, these are one of the best Fire-Lite adjustable panels, and one of the best overall panels ever made by Fire-Lite. These have filtered signal circuits, and a power supply which can be easily replaced if it fails. The MS-9600UDLS can support a large amount of devices and will accept many different brands including Gameo FCI, Fire-Lite, and Notifier, and possibly other brands that use System Sensor's AP protocol. This panel is fully programmable from the front keypad or PC programming software available online. In combination with the alarm communicator and all the features of modern fire alarm control panels, the MS-9600UDLS is one of the best fire alarm panels a hobbyist can get that isn't proprietary or otherwise restricted. In any case, if you have any questions or comments on the MS-9600UDLS, feel free to post them below. But until next time, have a nice day.